Hi, I'd like to show you something that I had ChatGPT-generate. It's the retelling of Genesis chapter 1 as told by by a person who believes in the theory of evolution. So, I mean, the first book of Origins, chapter 1, the evolutionary retelling. In the beginning, God brought forth the heavens and the earth was without form, a swirling chaos of fire and dust, and darkness covered the deepest space. And the Spirit of God moved over the forming worlds. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And light came forth from the newborn stars, and the darkness fled before it. God saw that the light was good, and God separated light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and morning the first stage. And God said, "Let the waters be gathered, and let the heavens be stretched above the earth." So the earth cooled, and the waters gathered upon the face of the deep, and clouds formed above, and the seas lay below. God called the vast expanse the sky, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning the second age. And God said, "Let the dry land appear." And the continents rose from the waters, and mountains lifted their heads, the seas gathered into their places, and the land stood firm. God called land earth, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth life." So the earth sprouted the first living things, simple cells in the ancient seas, then colonies of life that breathed and multiplied. In time the waters turned green with living growth, and plants rose upon the land, grasses, ferns, and trees bearing seed. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning the third age. And God said, "Let the lights in the heavens mark the times and the seasons." So the sun burned bright by day, and the moon reflected light by night, and the stars filled the sky in their multitudes. And he marked the ages and the turning of the world. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning in the fourth age. And God said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures." So the seas filled with life, strange swimmers with shells and fins, great reptiles of the deep, and countless forms that lived and perished and gave rise to others. And some rose from the sea and learned to breathe the air, and wings spread across the sky, and birds took flight. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the seas and the sky." And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning in the fifth age. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures." So beasts walked upon the land, creatures that crawled, creatures that ran, creatures mighty and small. Ages passed, and the forms of life changed and grew, each generation shaping the next. And among the creatures arose those who walked upright and wandered about the heavens. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, after our likeness." So humanity came forth from the dust of the earth, and long story of life, yet bearing the breath of God, the spark of mind, conscience, and spirit. Male and female he created them, and God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and care for it, rule with wisdom over the living things of the earth." God looked upon all that had come to be through the ages, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and morning the sixth age. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast unfolding. And God rested from his work of creation, not because the work was finished forever, but because the world was set in motion. And God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, for in it he rested from the long labor by which the universe came to be. So that's pretty. That's pretty much. That's pretty much Genesis chapter 1 as told by an evolutionist. um, I just want to share that many people assume that reading Genesis is a non-literal way of I mean many people assume that reading Genesis in a non-literal way is a modern attempt to reconcile it with evolution, but the truth is that symbolic or non-literal readings go back very far in Christian history, long before Darwin. And here are some of the most interesting examples. First of all, there's Origen of the 3rd century. The early theologian Origen of Alexandria, who lived from about 185 to 2:53 openly argued that parts of Genesis cannot be taken literally. He famously asked, "Who is so foolish as to suppose that God planted the garden Eden like a farmer?" Origen believes Scripture often uses symbolic narratives to convey spiritual truths. Regarding Genesis chapter 1, he pointed out a problem. The sun and moon are created on day 4, but day 1 already has evening and morning, so he concluded the days must not be ordinary days. He wrote that the creation story was written in a figurative form to teach deeper truths about God and creation. Second is Augustine from the 4th to 5th century. Augustine of Hippo, who lived from 354 to 430, had an even more fascinating view. He believed God created everything in a single moment, and the days in Genesis were a logical framework for understanding creation, not a timeline. And literal meaning of Genesis, he wrote something striking. What kind of days these were it is extremely difficult or perhaps impossible for us to conceive. He also warned Christians about speaking ignorantly about science. If Christians talk nonsense about the natural world while claiming Scripture supports them, outsiders will dismiss the gospel. That warning is over 1,600 years old. 3 is medieval theology. The great medieval theologian Thomas Aquinas, who lived from 1225 to 1274, did not insist on a strict literal chronology either. He treated Genesis days as a structured teaching advice. Days 1 to 3 is talking about the creation of realms, light and dark, sky and sea, land and plants. Days 4 to 6 is talking about the creation of inhabitants of those realms, sun and moon, birds and fish, animals and humans. In other words, Genesis reads like a theological poem about order emerging from chaos, not a scientific manual. 4 is modern evolutionary creation views. Many modern Christians believe God created through evolutionary processes rather than instantaneous acts. This view is sometimes called evolutionary creation or theistic evolution. The idea is simple. God created the universe, God established the laws of nature, evolution is the process through which life developed. Some theologians even note that Genesis chapter 1 repeatedly says, "Let the earth bring forth," which sounds like creation unfolding from within the world itself rather than being manufactured piece by piece. So, point number 5 is the key insight. Genesis was written in the ancient Near Eastern world long before modern science. Its purpose was not to answer how many millions of years or what genetic mutations occurred. Instead, it answers the deeper theological questions: who created the world, why does the world exist, why do humans matter, and what is humanity's role in creation. Genesis says the world is not a cosmic accident, creation is good, humans bear God's image, and humans are caretakers, not owners. These are the real claims of the text. So, this evolutionary Genesis rewrite actually resembles something close to what some theologians call the framework interpretation. The structure looks like this. In day 1, light was formed. In day 4, sun and moon filled the heavens. Day 2, there's sky and sea. Day 5, birds and fish filled the skies and seas. Day 3, their land and plants were formed, and day 6, animals and humans filled the land. So even without evolution, many scholars think Genesis was written as a literary structure rather than a literal timeline. So, and once you see it, Genesis suddenly reads like a revolutionary text rather than just a creation story. So, and that brings me to the end of today's video. So, I hope you enjoyed this this retelling of Genesis chapter 1. It may offend some Christians who believe in literal creation, but I just wanted to share it with you. So have a wonderful day, and may God bless you.